Brookhouse from Flow Slam here, along with the hottest free agent in wrestling, Ethan Page. This is the first episode of the new podcast, the Bitter Boys Club. How you doing, Ethan?
Great. I mean, you didn't say all ego, so I'm a little offended. But other than that, I'm in a great mood, and I'm excited to return to podcasting.
How long has it been since your old show?
Probably close to a year. I think I remember fans tweeting like this was the 1 year anniversary of the last episode or something like that, but feels a lot longer.
All right, that's not too bad then. Lots gone on in that last year, though. Obviously, you got the free agent thing going now. So, where'd you just come back from this weekend?
England. I couldn't tell you exactly where in England I was, but I was there. I was in England.
Okay, matches this weekend. Let's just hit what exactly you were up to.
Sure, I wrestled on a show that nobody will ever see called Pro Wrestling Live, and it was in front of mothers, fathers, and their children. It was like, it's to explain it. The best way to explain it is it's its own universe. So this school trains kids from the age of like 10 to be professional wrestlers. And like I've gone to the school and seen the kids training. It's real. They train in like a 10 by 10 ring, which is like for midgets. Or sorry, I'm not allowed to say midgets. See, this is why I quit podcasting in general. For what are they, dwarfs?
I think little people is the accepted vernacular, but I don't know. I still feel like, and I'm a very PC guy, honestly, but like it feels like in the world of wrestling, midget is still like acceptable. Like I've never anywhere seen little people wrestling. You
advertise little people as midgets in wrestling, right?
Right. Like I said, I've never seen a poster that says like little people wrestling. Like it, and I'm definitely not the person to speak to if that's okay or not. But from what I've seen anyway, it seems like it's still the accepted thing in wrestling. And maybe that's horrible. Like maybe we're bad people, but that's the thing.
Well, there was no midgets there, but the ring was for midgets. It was 10 by 10, and they were training legitimate children to be professional wrestlers. And I guess these kids kind of grow up and never leave the nest. So I wrestled this guy. His name was Andy Hendricks. He does a Jimi Hendrix gimmick. And we wrestled for 30 minutes as requested for the title match in the main event. And I'm not kidding. I had one of my favorite matches in 2018 in front of people that had no idea, who I was, 2, what they just watched, and 3, this will never be spoken of or seen by anybody in the quote-unquote internet wrestling community. And for me, to be given 30... For anyone on the independents... to be given 30 minutes to wrestle on one match in one night is very rare right now. So it was an experience in itself for just that. And the fact that how good the match came out, it was awesome. And it sucks that no one's ever going to see it. But yeah, what a unique and weird experience.
Yeah, the 30-minute thing, that's weird. Like when I was first getting into indie wrestling, I was lucky enough to grow up near where IWA Mid-South held all their stuff. So those were like the first shows I was into. And those shows, you'd go there and like the VHS edits were 4.5 hour long shows. Live, it was like 6 hours because it seemed like it was like, yeah, go out there, put on 20, 30 minutes if you feel like it. And now it's such a like condensed thing. Like there's not really enough time for that, but it's good and bad. This wasn't like a 10-year-old you had to go 30 minutes with, though, right?
No, he might have been 18 though. I'm around 18 to 20 years old.
And are they like producing guys that are going anywhere, or do they just?
No, so they don't like these. Like the guy I wrestled, for me to go 30 minutes and say it was one of my favorite matches this year. Like obviously. He's definitely good enough to branch out, especially in like the hotbed of independent wrestling right now in England. But yeah, I don't want to say that the guy that trains them kind of tells them not to, but I don't think it's like that's something that they're taught.
All right. And then you had the show with Big Grizzly, right? That was the other
So
thing
that
this
was the
weekend?
Sunday. So Saturday was for Southside Wrestling,
Oh, that's right.
where I won the Southside now World Heavyweight Championship because I beat 6 other countries, and the belt is in my house in Canada right now, so it has traveled overseas. And when is this podcast dropping?
Tomorrow. It's worth saying, at least right now, that it is it's Wednesday night. So Thursday,
Wednesday night,
it'll be up.
11 p.m. I don't know if I should announce this or not. I kind of don't want to take it away from. Whatever. We'll give this podcast some news. So CZW will be hosting an international title match with myself and Space Monkey for the Southside World Heavyweight Championship on the upcoming event in November. I believe it's the 11th, whatever the Saturday is.
Yeah, that's the 11th.
So there you go. Breaking news on the debut episode of the Bitter Boys Club. Ethan Page brings a belt back from England, defends it with a monkey from outer space.
That makes it like a intergalactic championship. So
I've done more for this company in my first week as champion than anybody ever has.
all right, yeah, that's fair.
That's not the reaction I was expecting. So then I had my first title defense the next day, which was cool that they got to organize that against Big Grizzly. And then that's where I broke my nose.
Okay, so you did break your nose.
Yeah, oh my God. This was the most excruciating and annoying injury since scraping my knee at CZW a couple weeks ago.
I mean, are we? We're not talking like reparative surgery break or anything.
But like my eyelids are like going purple and it's very swollen. So what happened was I took a senton off the second rope. So if you don't know who Big Grizzly is, just look him up. He's done a bunch of shows. He actually wrestled Keith Lee that weekend, the night before he wrestled me. He's had matches with Matt Riddle in England. He's doing very well. I give him the thumbs up even though he broke my nose. But so he did a senton off the second rope and elbowed me directly in the nose. And he's got to be, if not over 300 pounds, at least 300 pounds. So instantly what had happened was, obviously I was very much in pain, but liquid started filling my eyes. I don't know what the process of a broken nose is, but it was not gushing blood, but filling up with blood. And when I was a kid, my dad told me that if your nose starts dripping blood, it's not broken. If it's bleeding but clogged, it's probably broken. So I was like, oh shit, it's probably broken. I just swore. Are we swearing on this podcast?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, just making sure. So it was probably broken, and I couldn't see a goddamn thing. So I had to call an audible to finish the match. Also, a very new stress for me, because I'm not like a caring person. I don't care if I win and lose, but knowing that I have this belt now was like a completely different dynamic of not. I couldn't just say, hey, pin me, I need to go to the back.
Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, it's not out yet, but we recorded the Another Way to Get Paid with Eric Cannon, and he talked about when he got injured mid-match when he was IWA Mid-South champ, and Ian told him, like, well, he got to finish the match, and he had to, like, limp his way through, and then they stripped him later, which that will go up at some point. The lighting in that room was such shit that I'm, like, toying with trying to get the video to actually look good.
Oh, I gotcha. But
yeah, that, like, completely changes how you have to handle injuries or anything. So luckily you didn't try to blow your nose or anything, because that would just like close your eyes immediately if it was broken and the blood was swelling in there.
So I did.
Oh, you did? Awesome.
Which is also which probably why. So we had thankfully had a spot planned, which was just supposed to be a big false finish. Also, I guess this podcast is just exposing the business, whatever. Anyways, so we had a big spot planned where I would power slam him off the top rope. Not the usual one I do where I'm standing on the second, but I was just standing on the mat and he was going up to finish me with a top rope senton instead of a second rope. and I would just kind of stop him and pull his 300-pound body over my shoulders and Davey Boy style power slam him, and that was like a big false finish. And it would have been great because the fans were kind of into the match as like a hoss fight, so like they were chanting "Big Lads Wrestling," and we did like a leapfrog duck running spot that they got a big reaction. So like they were really into it, but I couldn't see, and the finishing stretch was a bunch of strikes, and I don't like stiffing people or hurting people, so I didn't want to kind of put that chance in the air. So I cut all that out and just called the big power slam as the finish, which would not have been as hot as what we had planned, but in the situation we had, it was kind of our only option because I couldn't see.
Yeah, I mean, that's just you getting hurt worse or hurting him. Like,
right, which wow, I am a godsend. I was so worried about hurting him, even though he hurt me. But yeah, so we ended up making it through the match. I kind of made it to the back, got taken to the back. By the time I got to the back, the water had kind of cleared enough that I could like at least see where I was going. And I stupidly cleaned myself before actually taking a picture because it was nasty. Like boogers and blood just everywhere. My arm was covered. I looked like I just did a fatality in Mortal Kombat, and it was just gross as hell.
Yeah, so you blew the tough guy photo op.
Yeah, exactly. So like I put a photo on Twitter and I was like, oh, I went to war with Big Grizz, defended my title, and I was already pretty much cleaned up, which was kind of sad because the fans saw like, and it was thick blood, like a real deep cut kind of blood. Yeah, it was really gross. And so the worst part about all this was not the pain or anything. I fell asleep on the flight home, which was the absolute worst travel I've ever had in my entire career. I had to leave the venue, go to another wrestler's house that I've only met once before, hang out with him till midnight. From midnight, I had to take a cab to the bus station, take a 5-hour bus to the airport, be at the airport 5 hours early, so just hang out at the airport for 5 hours, take an 8-hour flight home, drive from the airport to my house, which is an hour, and then finally do some chores at home for the wife, then go to bed. It sucked. It was the worst. So the worst part about the nose break, though, I fell asleep on the flight and my nose started bleeding. So when I woke up, I was covered in blood. I look over to the girl sitting next to me and I was like, hey, can you get up? And she looked at me like I was like a cokehead or something. Like, why is this guy's nose bleeding? And she was like, oh my God, your nose is bleeding. And I said, yeah, thanks for waking me up.
Yeah, there's injuries, or the first time I ever got drunk was when I was 19 and on a business trip to Denver, and we had to fly out at like 6 a.m. the next day. So my boss didn't wake me up until like 5 minutes before we had to leave. So I couldn't shower. I stunk. I didn't know how to handle a hangover because I'm a kid. And on the plane, I kept like passing out and grabbed the flight attendant and just screamed, I think I'm dying. So
lovely.
Yeah, you can't be all fucked up on a plane. It doesn't go well. So you actually paid some dues.
Yeah, pretty much. Like as I was doing it, I was kind of laughing at myself. Like, yeah, good job. You waited for people to fly you to England instead of being a mark and flying yourself. Yet here you are traveling 19 hours to get home.
So favorite match of the weekend then, is it the 18-year-old Andy Hendricks?
I think as like a pride thing, yes, because I don't know, it's kind of public, excuse me, that people don't really, I'm not really well known for my wrestling ability, but I know deep down that I'm a good professional wrestler. So to be able to go 30 minutes with an absolute unknown and like have the promoter thanking me a million times for the best match they've ever had in their company's history, and like making this random dude look like $1 million, and like moms just gushing over me. It was pretty great.
I I was gonna say, I think it was the ACH interview we did. I think you said you don't give a shit about having good matches. Is that like how you feel, or is that kind of misstated?
No, like I don't give a shit about having the best match on the show when I do these super indies, because I'll never be looked at as like I could technically, and I don't mean like technically like the phrase, like I mean like actually like a technician technically have the best match on any show. I have the ability, but it's the way I'm perceived. So like I'll never be able to trick people's perception of me because of what they're already used to. So you could get, and I'm not saying he would do this, but I'm saying in general, you could get the laziest version of Matt Riddle versus Zack Sabre Jr., both of them being absolutely lazy, versus my hardest efforts against somebody else, and people will still think that Riddle versus Zack Sabre Jr. was a better wrestling match. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like you're looking at a card and you see Riddle Sabre, and you're like, this is going to be great. So your mind's already in that place versus, I don't know.
But no, not my mind.
No, not yours. I'm saying your mind is in the fan. The fan's mind is already like,
exactly.
This is going to be the best match I see on the show. And then they see you against, I don't know, fucking Space Monkey, whoever, and they're like, oh, this should be good.
Right, exactly. So I'm already starting at a 2-star rating, and they're already starting at a 4-star rating, waiting for expectations to potentially push to 5. But and even if they're let down, they'll like, I can't believe I'm discussing star ratings. That makes me such a piece of shit. So the like, if they're let down, they drop to a 3. Whereas I'm starting at a 2, and if I do okay, I stay at a 2. If I do exceptional, I only go to a 3. And it's where I excel is with feuds. So like with storytelling, I get to push my expectations high. So when looking at like me versus Darby Allin from WrestleMania weekend, people walked into that like they would for a Riddle versus Zack Sabre. They had expectations because they were trained to have those expectations and a want to enjoy the match because they've been following the stories. We captivated them with good storytelling and character development and yada, yada, yada. So we actually had the ability to trick them into thinking this would be something special. I don't have that like feature act 5-star wrestling match aura, or like people don't look at me as that type of wrestler. So like I'm already starting with low expectations.
Right. And to protect you a little, you're not talking about star ratings like you're sitting there thinking like, oh, that match I just had was 3.5 stars. You're talking about, like we said, from the fan perspective, they're they're like, going in. And I think, like you said, you're working up from like basically 0 to whatever, whereas the, hypothetical Sabre Riddle thing is working from 5 down.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's all hypothetical. We're just using names that people can relate to understand like the stupid shit that I say in public that I don't care about having good matches. But like I obviously have, every performer has a sense of pride. I have a sense of pride to do the best. And on a show like that, knowing that people paid money to go in and see wrestling, and all of these guys, I'm sure they're more than capable wrestlers, but I knew that I had the skills and the caliber to absolutely blow these people away and send the parents home with like wow, that was amazing. So I was like, well, I'm going to try my 110% on today's show because there is the very likely chance that this will be the best match on the show. So I made sure to give them that.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I guess like you're working AAW again now. And,
yep,
those are kind of those super indie cards where it's, everybody goes in with the expectations that every match is going to kind of blow the roof off. And I don't know. I guess the way I look at watching your matches anyway is, like you said, you're a feud guy. Like that's where you shine the most. But even like, you're more constructing a story in the match that is more. I mean, every match is a story in a way, but yours is it's more of a fuck. How do I even want to say this?
Emotional.
Yeah, I guess that works. Versus like the physical, like war of attrition, move kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess kind of in keeping with somewhat trending topics anyway. Because you just got back from this travel thing, and a brutal return travel and everything, there was this whole thing with Joey Ryan a couple days ago talking about why he wouldn't take an offer from WWE right now because of how much he controls his own destiny and that it involves a pay cut and a move and everything. And I'm not saying like, say right now on the air you wouldn't take a WWE contract because that's ridiculous and you wouldn't want to put that out in the universe, but like, are there moments where it seems to you like on that trip, are you just thinking like, I just wish I had a gig in Florida that like that's what I was doing?
Yeah, for sure. Especially moments like that, or like frustration with promoters dicking me around. What, dude? That's a really good question, by the way. This podcast is gonna rock. So like, it's so tough because there's glimpses of like epicness on the indies where I have a weekend that just absolutely is mind blowing. I make a substantial amount of money. My family is in a good place. My bank account's in a good place. My body's in a good place. And I'm in full control. And it's just like so creatively rewarding as well. And then there's weekends like that, like the one that just passed, where the travel is just like crazy. And I'm kind of just taking whatever to make ends meet as a business that, yeah, I would take less money to just sit in a place and make sure that like I have a baby on the way. So to know that I have whatever the income is, a specific amount, a week or a month, at least I know for sure that I would get that. But then there's months that I'm just like, wow, I for sure make more than guys in WWE, but that's not every month. So it's a huge mind fuck.
Right. Yeah, this podcast is going to go some weird places over the next couple of months because you've got a baby on the way, I've got a baby on the way, so like shit could get so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, how like much thought would there be in like if tomorrow morning you woke up to a WWE offer, like is that something that you just sign right away because like that's the perceived end goal, or is this like I have to sit down with my wife and have like days of conversation?
I would for sure have to sit down with my wife and have days of conversations, which sucks. Well, it doesn't suck, obviously. I'm glad that I'm happily married and I have a good wife. But that's if I was single and I had my own thing, I was still living in my condo, yeah, I would just sign it and hope for the best. But with the kid on the way and like my family is like deeply rooted in this city that I live in now, that I would be saying goodbye to a lot of things for less money, and my wife would have to quit her job, which is also a big supporter of ours. So it's a big change for myself, but more of a big change for my wife. And I didn't get married to ignore her needs and wants. So yeah, it would be tough to just be like, hey, I'm signing this and you have to deal with it.
Yeah, I get that. And like one thing I want to say right now is I don't think this is going to be a weekly like interview Ethan Page podcast for people that are listening to the first episode, but we're finding our footing here.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. But it's interesting because you work for, what would you say Flow Slam is now? A wrestling news site?
I mean, I guess right now, and that's a weird thing, and I can talk a little about that. I mean,
sure. I'm sure people are curious.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, I can't talk about any of the lawsuit stuff, and I'd be lying if I said I even knew anything about it. I mean, you and I were planning to do the another way to get paid with Stokely.
Yeah,
and I had to tell you the day of, like, yeah, I'm not going to be there. That
was heartbreaking.
Oh, it sucked. I was really looking forward to it. I had tweeted right before that I was excited to go to the Evolve shows because I was excited to go to the Evolve shows, and then whatever happened. And like, I can say that, you know, right now we're a news site because we're figuring out the next steps and everything. You know, and I'm hoping that there's a new direction that we can go, and we're pushing for it, and we're having meetings, and, you know, I would expect the return of events to FlowSlam, you know, in the near future. And it's weird and it's tricky, and like, I don't know. Okay, here, I'll continue to be topical. The fucking thing with Lio Rush where he tweeted about Emma losing her job, and it was a shitty joke, and, you know, the locker room gave him a bunch of shit. Like, I personally got mad because when the shit happened with FlowSlam and WWN, like, everybody just being like, yeah, I can't fucking wait for it to shut down. It's like, I have a 4-year-old daughter. I've got a pregnant fiance. You know, we've got other people that work on the site. The site closes down. I don't have a fucking job. So it's not that funny.
Right.
It sucks. It's not, you know, I left a comfortable job at USA Today, coming off a year where I was nominated for MMA Journalist of the Year at the World MMA Awards. Like, I had a comfortable position. I had a good job. You know, I was well known, but I took a risk because I wanted to work in or around wrestling. Like, it's just been a thing I've wanted to do since I was a kid, and it was like, I'll take a shot. So, you know, it sucks. It's not what I was expecting to have happen when I took the job, to have a weird lawsuit. And, you know, we're supposed to be a live events company, or at least an event streaming company. And right now we don't have that. So we're a news site for right now. But like I said, we're exploring, and I expect the return of events to FlowSlam in the very near future.
Okay, but to add to the, I guess, the Lio Rush thing that you were saying, or just trashing people losing their jobs, this is kind of another reason why I've never kind of jumped on the bandwagon of like shitting on TNA.
Yeah, I get that. Like,
because I want everyone to do good.
Yeah, and I mean, wrestling is at its healthiest with the most, you know, the most options that can pay guys good wages and, you know, support guys. And there's people that count on that paycheck, not just in the ring. Like, there's very talented wrestlers, but there's people behind the scenes that have nothing to do with the bad decisions made at TNA.
Yeah, video editors, producers, cameramen, just the people even that just set up the curtains to black it out. Like, these are all jobs that will all go away. Yeah, it sucks. That definitely sucks. I don't want them to leave too, because in a selfish way, not that it would really make that much of a difference now, but back when it was the indies were oversaturated with talent. If a big company like that closed down, all those guys would filter back into the indies, and then all the top spots would become even more scarce. Whereas right now, WWE kind of scooped everybody up, so everyone kind of just jumps up automatically.
Yeah, because when WWE came in and like had that big binge of signing people, everybody was like, "Oh, well, the indies are going to go through a down period," and it's like, there's so much talent, and it's, you know, it's a vacuum that can be easily filled, but it doesn't work as well in reverse. You can't just dump everybody back in, and, you know, those
because
spots
the money's
there.
Not there.
And okay, let's go back a couple weekends to the Black Label Pro Show.
Sure.
You know, a guy like AJ Gray is so good, and he's a guy that can like keep rising over the next couple, you know, the next year or two. But if those spots get harder, then it's harder for a guy like him to get the shine that he deserves. So,
right. Like, I 100% agree with you. And that's what happens when like guys just get scooped up, and companies need to make their own stars too. There's just, the only frustration I have with new talent is sometimes new talent earns opportunity by sucking it up, getting crappy money, and traveling all over the world to make a name for themselves. And then sometimes new talent gets opportunity by fans deciding that they want that person to be the next big thing, even though they're absolutely not ready for it.
Well, how much do you think social media plays into that? Because there's guys...
Massively. Right. And it's so stupid because I feel like the Puppet Masters are the most vocal fans on the internet. But, so I personally have 12,000 Twitter followers. I don't think that all 12,000 voice their opinion. I would say at most 10% do.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Actually, no. What would 10% be?
10% of 12,000 would be 1,200, yeah.
Yeah, no, not even 10%. 1%?
Like 120?
Yeah, I would say 1% of my followers voice their opinion about who they like in wrestling. And it's that vocal minority that get the promoters to kiss their ass and like book these guys. It's so sad. It like makes me sick to my stomach that they can't just listen to the audience. Then they have to listen to the 120 people on Twitter who dictate who's good and who's not good. And sometimes it's not even about who's actually good or not. It's who pays attention to these fans that makes them feel valuable.
Yeah, and okay, I'm going to use the Carnies as an example, and I'm not shitting on the Carnies. Like, I think they're a really good tag act on the indies, but they are very personable. They interact with fans a lot in like a really positive way, which is great for them. And it leads to every time that you see a promotion say, hey, who's out there that you think we should book? Then people are like, oh, book the Carnies.
Yeah, but then the boys don't respect you.
So you're just saying the boys don't respect the Carnies. I got you. That's a hot take.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's a difference between earning it and like, I don't want to say they kiss ass because I don't pay that much attention. I don't know, like to say that about someone specific.
Right, and again,
I'm not in the right place to do that. But
right. And just to be clear, like this is not about them. It's just the one act that came to mind that like they do such a good job interacting with fans that it has boosted them to a point where on social media they're like social media darlings, which doesn't mean you're bad, doesn't mean you're good. It just means that you have a position of people pushing you.
But is it because they're talented and I'm not saying just them, I'm just saying in general, is it because they're talented or is it because they're their friends?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the question in general.
Because I book my friends in Alpha One and I know they're not good.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so is it weird when you see these major promotions and like put out these, hey, who should we book type tweets? Like, is that a really weird thing? Or is it less
stupid? I think it's stupid. I only think it's stupid because they know who they want to book.
Right. Like, I don't think that, whatever promotion is saying that necessarily to, because they're going to book that person. But I think it probably sticks in their mind as like, okay, so the people that got 20 mentions here, if we do book them, this next show might get some traction on social.
But here's the thing. That's only 20 fucking people.
Yeah, but okay. So
but that's my argument though.
Right, but
it's the vocal minority, but they're not the people in the seats. They're not the people paying tickets. They're not the people actually putting money into the company that keeps it going.
Right. I mean, just like from a business standpoint though, you can identify, I guess you could call them tastemakers, like the people who their opinions, because it's a weird thing, especially in wrestling, where it's like there's this handful of people who are the very vocal minority who have also established some level of respect to where their tastes automatically become the tastes for like that level right below them. Like once,
but it's not genuine.
Right. I'm not saying it's genuine, but it is like a thing that like creates a false sense of what can be brought. Yeah.
Yeah. I hate that. I'm gonna lose so many fans because of this. But I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. And like, that's not the way wrestling progresses and thrives.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And like, the guys that end up in that situation, do they tend to be like the guys that get that push from that vocal minority, the guys that get that push and haven't necessarily, I guess I don't want to use all the hammy terms, but the guys that haven't fully paid their dues but get this internet love and all of a sudden they're getting everywhere. Are those also usually like the shit guys in the locker room?
No, I wouldn't say that, because sometimes guys like, okay, I'm going to use Kurt Stallion as an example because I don't really care what I say about him because he's an asshole anyways. So like, he'll just be like, "Oh, Page, you're so wrong," and then we'll just argue about it and it won't be nothing. But Kurt Stallion, to me, will be really good in 3 or 4 years. But right now, people think he's like the best up-and-coming indie guy on earth. And that's great for him because that's going to keep him busy. But I don't think he's at the level that people are praising him at. And I'm sure he doesn't even think he's at the level that they're praising him at. But it's because there's such a need and want for these fans to feel like they accomplished something by making a star. It's like they have the power. So because they were the first ones to say, "Oh, look at this guy," then they're the ones that made it happen. So it's almost like he owes them now.
Okay. I mean, so I guess there's a part of this that requires, on the wrestler's part, like a strong ability to take like inventory of yourself, like to keep your shit in check if you end up in that position where you're, the new internet darling, to understand like where you actually are in your career.
Yeah, look at Lio Rush.
I usually wasn't able to look at Lio Rush because he wouldn't talk to me.
Well, he was an asshole on the indies. But what I'm saying is that he got everything handed to him, but acted like he struggled. And that's why I didn't like him. And that's why other people didn't like him too. And he mistreated people on his way to the top, which was the fastest. Like, it was literally like, buy a pair of boots, sign up for wrestling school, get signed to Ring of Honor, get signed to WWE. There was no middle ground. So he went from nothing to something, and on his way up, just stepped on everybody and treated them like shit. And that gave him like a false ego that gave him what he thought was the right to make a joke, whether it was in quote-unquote kayfabe or not, about someone getting fired. And he thought that was okay. And then when he got called out for it, the entire wrestling world already didn't like him because of the way he treated them on the way up, that as soon as he made a mistake, it was like the biggest downpour of fuck this guy on earth. And it was almost like instant karma.
Yeah, I mean, it came down quick from like everywhere.
Yeah.
And it came from people that also have never dealt with him, as far as I know. Like, So
I was in England when the news broke that Emma got released. And everyone was like, "Oh man, this is sad." Sorry, that sounded so very ungenuine, but people were actually upset about it. Then when the Lio Rush thing dropped, it was almost like everyone got invited to this party, and on the invitation it said, "Give me a story about why you don't like Lio Rush." And everyone showed up.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, and like, to be fair, I've had very little interaction with Lio Rush, but that's also, I mean, okay, when I was at Evolve shows, like grabbing interviews from you guys, I tried to be super conscious of never pulling anybody away from a merch table. Because you guys that's where you're making your money. Like,
True.
Always said, like, when you're done, I'll be right over there, grab me, whatever, we'll shoot a quick interview. He just wasn't a guy that was even approachable, which was weird, considering that my job was Not really, like, definitely not journalist. I was promoting events and trying to promote you guys and the shows. So,
my biggest thing
I'm
is,
just saying it's not hard for me to believe that people who have had much more direct contact with him would have, a host of stories to share.
yeah, I'm just not a fan. Like, he posts. Can't believe this podcast is just me shitting on this dude. So he posted his picture once, and it was like my favorite thing to send in private messages to all my buddies. He posted this picture of him in like Arena, Mexico, and it was like 2 years of hard work got me here. Something, something, something. Like, it was just this big, like, him jerking himself off. And I was like, 2 years, it's not hard work. For me to even break out on the indies, because I'm from Canada, and I'm not saying woe is me, I'm just saying this is just my version of indie wrestling. It took me 7 years before I did anything in AIW, which spawned into AAW, yada, 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 PWG, Ring of Honor. Anyways, it was like a very slow climb. He was never appreciative of how easy and quick everything happened to him. If he was just humble about it and was like, man, I'm so lucky that all this stuff has been happening to me. I see everyone else struggling. Keep going. It'll happen. I'm just really blessed and lucky. He never felt lucky. He felt like he earned it, and he didn't earn shit. And I don't want him to get fired over this thing, but I won't be mad if he does.
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to, like, I don't want anybody to lose their job, but
of course,
it's not hard to see that, like, to start off so quick with people just pissed at you in a locker room, that, like, all these people developed relationships with Emma over years, and you're now around these people and, like, joking about her losing her job. Like, you've got a long way to go to, like, repair your image just in your own work environment.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I just think he thinks very highly of himself, and he needed like a big ego check. And the thing is, too, we live in a world now where Ricochet recently did a high spots thing. I didn't want to promote high spots, Flow Slam and them.
I don't care. Like, Powerbomb's doing really cool stuff right now. They've got all the old Alpha One stuff. They've got a lot of stuff. Like, that's the other thing. I'll retweet stuff from, like, Powerbomb and stuff, and people will be like, oh, that must mean something. No, what it means is, like, hey, this is a good wrestling product. Go watch it.
Which you should. Sign up now at powerbomb.tv using promo code Alpha1, all capitals, no space between the one, and you get 20 days for free. It's all older Alpha 1 events. We started in 2010, so there's events leading all the way up till 2017, and right now there's 5 events on there. Check them out. One of them has Kevin Steen versus Jimmy Jacobs in one of the craziest matches in Alpha 1 history. Anyways, back to this thing. What were we talking about?
Well, you just went too far. Now you just completely promoted the competitor. And of course, I'm fucking kidding, because we can't compete with 0 events on our schedule. But yeah, God, what were we talking about? So that went nowhere except an ad for Powerbomb.
Yeah. Thank you, Lio Rush.
No,
good segue to promoting Powerbomb on TV.
Yeah, God, I wish I could rewind this right now and tell, but yeah, I don't know. We asked for some, like, topics on Twitter, and people were not particularly helpful.
Oh, we got a couple.
Yeah.
Let me get to that tweet, and then we'll go to when I said I'm gonna make you all love #BBC Bitter Boys Club. So AJ Gray. Oh, we were actually talking about him. Said to talk about 40-mile vets. You know what that is?
You're gonna have to fill me in.
If you could guess, what would you guess that is?
Lio Rush?
No. So 40-mile. That's a good guess, though. The way you looked at it was he's only traveled 40 miles in his 2-year career. But no, 40-mile vet is somebody that only travels within 40 miles of their hometown, but treats the locker room like they're beneath them and thinks that he's accomplished everything in wrestling, and he's a veteran.
Okay, so...
Have you ever brushed shoulders with people like that and obviously known, like, Oh, this guy's a doofus.
You know, not that often, but that's kind of the look of where and when I got into wrestling. Like I said, it was like IWA Mid-South was like the closest big promotion, and they were pulling from everywhere and all big names. Like,
Yeah.
and then there was like the small promotions that like I had my my brief teenage cup of coffee as a wrestler in, which involved wrestlers such as Hard Times Gene Austin, the very skinny hillbilly Stone Cold knockoff. So no, personally, I have not.
Makes sense. They're real, though. I book some of them.
I like that so far you've covered that you book doofuses and you book people that you don't like. Or that you know aren't good. I think that was what you said.
Yeah. At least I can admit it, though. Because I run a business. And, oh, that's another thing, too. Promotions need to look at their wrestling companies as a business. You need to profit. You need to grow. And if you're not doing that, you should probably close down and let somebody else run that town. Right now, in my hometown, there's like 7 promotions, and it absolutely drives me nuts because, I mean, no disrespect to anybody else running events there, but we do it the best. So just let us run the events. You're kind of splitting money from loyal wrestling fans where I might be able to run 2 months, or I might be able to run 2 events a month in the same town, and you guys wouldn't have to do any of the work. But it's oversaturated, so I can't.
Well, I mean,
sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think that just applies to promotions. Like, you know, it's wrestlers too. There's a lot of guys that don't seem to treat their careers as a business, which
that's true.
You know, I think in general, a good life tip and something that I'll raise my daughter telling her is whatever your business is, treat it like a fucking business.
That's true. But you know what, though? Like, I also don't hate guys like that because I understand, like, not Michael Elgin is going to slap me for this because he taught me the complete opposite. But not everybody needs to think they're going to go to WWE, and not everybody needs to think that this is their job. And I understand that there's going to be weekend warriors, and there's some really talented weekend warriors that might only wrestle once a month, and they still have really good matches.
Yeah, that's a different thing. I don't think that that's somebody that needs to, like I said, treat your business like your business. If that's like a hobby, that's not your business. You can treat your hobby like your hobby.
Fair enough. Okay. So then, well, now I'm kind of confused.
Well, I'm just saying, if you, like somebody like you, like your entire life is like grinding out money on the indies, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So
literally trying to squeeze money out of a stone.
Right. If you're in that position and you're not treating your day-to-day life and that grind as like a business, it seems like you'd be doing yourself a disservice.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'd probably have to have another job.
And I guess I shouldn't talk like I have the right to tell anybody in a completely different position and career that I could not do, like how to do it. But it just seems like, in general, you know, same thing if you're like, I'm going to run a website for my career. And I'm just going to work on it like 3 days a week. Like, no, run a business like your business.
So what you're saying is guys that act like, why am I not making it?
Right.
Don't actually put in the effort.
Right.
I hate those guys.
Right. Saying you're a full-time wrestler or a full-time web designer or a full-time anything without treating it like a full-time job and then complaining about it. Like, you know, don't.
Yeah, those people I try not to book.
All right. That makes sense.
Literally my favorite thing is making sure that my locker room is a fun place to be.
That seems like a pretty good goal.
Yeah, and if there's ever drama, I usually just don't bring that person back. If I'm ever confronted in front of the locker room or disrespected, I don't bring those people back. Yeah, because nobody gets paid enough. Sorry, I shouldn't say nobody. Most people don't get paid enough to deal with asshole promoters. or bad locker rooms. So I realize the money going out to the guys that work for me is not substantial. So I never want to put them in a situation where, one, they hate the job, and two, they have to do the job.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But I think that also comes with being a wrestler. And I'm not saying every promoter should be a wrestler. I'm just saying a lot of people's favorite promoters are wrestlers.
That seems fair. What else?
What were we even talking about?
40 Mile Vets.
Yeah. So my take on that is, just to put a nice little bow on the end of it, there's one way to look at it. No advice is bad advice. If someone offers you advice, listen to it. It might spark a conversation or lead to something else. I agree with that. My other take on this is, I'm looking at both sides of my brain here. If someone has never drawn or made money in wrestling, I would never take advice from them.
Unless it's advice on what not to do, like don't be me.
Not even that. I would just stare at their face while they talk to me and not actually listen to anything that they're saying.
Fair enough.
I'm really good at having conversations and not understanding what people are saying to me.
All right. What else did we have come in on the old Twitter?
We've got why fun-size candy isn't fun.
I mean, I guess that's a Halloween thing.
Because it makes you fat. That's what I would say.
As the non-athletic one in the duo, because it's not enough.
Because it's not enough. The fun size is not enough to be fun. All right, fair enough. Favorite Power Ranger?
This is going to have to be all you. I've got a lot of nerdy interests, but Power Rangers were never one of them.
I'm never doing it. This is the first and last episode of the BBC.
Like, we can get into to comic books all day.
Sure, we'll do that another episode.
Right.
Pick a Power Ranger.
The fucking Tommy's the only one whose name I can remember.
Okay, at least you know Jason David Frank is Tommy.
Right.
He was the Green Ranger. He was the Green Ranger and
an MMA fighter.
And what other color?
Silver.
Jesus Christ.
I'm telling you, man. Was
White,
never my thing.
Red, and gold. Well, was it black? What was black and gold?
See, I feel like I'm a couple years older, so I think that I just missed the Power Ranger thing. I am. Oh Jesus, I had to think. I am 35.
Oh yeah, okay, you are a bit older. Yeah, you would have been over 10 years old when it came out.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so you would have been into other stuff like girls.
Yeah.
All right. Hottest free agent tour. When does it come back to New York City? Crap. Well, I don't know. Philly's not far from New York, right? What is that? 2 hours?
Yeah, something like that. 2, 3.
Hour and a half. Oh, 2 or 3.
Okay. I think I'm not a big East Coast guy outside of Massachusetts. So.
Well, I am coming to Philly for CZW on a regular basis. Like we stated at the beginning of this, I will be there for November 11th, defending the Southside World Heavyweight Championship in a match against Space Monkey. So check them out at Combat Zone or CZW, whatever their Twitter is. Who would make a good new Doink? This is a good question. And I have a great answer, but I want to hear yours first.
Oh, God. Who would make a good new Doink? Now, I want to go like Matt Bourne when Doink was good. You know what? If I'm going weird, effectively weird Doink.
But this has to be legit. I don't want you saying Joey Janela. Because Joey Janela, he's doing great. He's got a character already. I don't think being Doink is going to improve him.
Okay. Not Joey Janela.
This is legit. You need to call this person up, hypothetically, and be like, hey, I really think it would be a good idea if you were the new Doink.
Because if there's anything the indies are missing, it's that late 90s thing where every show had a Doink. We had a fake Kamala. He was
Really?
he was really, really short. Like, probably like 5'7" and real fat. But he wore the Kamala face paint. It was real good. Fuck. Oh, who would make a good doink? All right, you're gonna have to give yours while I think here.
Greg Excellence.
Oh, that's good.
He would kill it.
Oh, that's really good.
Like, he could play both. He could be good guy doink, bad guy doink. He'd be so entertaining on the mic. He could take it so many different ways. And he's great. What he's doing right now is great. But I'm just saying, imagine. He would nail it.
Yeah, that's better than anything I can come up with right now. Joey Janela would make a good doink, though.
He'd be terrible doink. He's a rock star. I would never take away his rock star status right now.
I would not pick him to be doink over himself.
Well, that's what we're doing. We're picking somebody over themselves.
Yeah, see,
I want to see Greg Excellence as doink, not as Greg Excellence. Sorry, Greg. I love you.
But be a different person.
But be doink. Okay, we got... Let's talk... Someone wants us to talk about hating people for putting up Christmas stuff on November 1st.
My fiance wants to do the Christmas decorations like right now.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like it. You know why I don't like it? Because Thanksgiving's not even done yet. Canada Thanksgiving's done. If Canadians do it, it's okay. That's the next holiday. You guys have a holiday coming up.
Yeah, I don't. I'm a big fan of Thanksgiving.
I'm a big fan of December being the month of Christmas. So December 1st, you want to put all your stuff up? Go nuts.
Could you go like a couple days earlier on like the day after Thanksgiving? Like instead of going and being an asshole on Black Friday, you just put stuff up.
No, Black Friday is like a holiday.
Oh God, you go out on Black Friday, don't you?
Well, because Black Friday isn't a Canadian thing. Well, it kind of is now. It's kind of like a disease spread into Canada, but Boxing Day is our big savings day. It's the day after Christmas. People,
right?
Yeah. So Black Friday, though, because I wrestle every year on Black Friday, AIW runs a show. So I leave extra early, cross the border, do some shopping, and then go to the show.
And have you been a part of like any of the true riots?
To be honest with you, never. Because I don't know why. Maybe Cleveland's not a hardcore town like that, but I've been to, like, I'm talking big department stores. Like, I've gone to a Target on Black Friday. I've gone to a full-out mall on Black Friday. I've gone nerdy and, like, went to, like, GameStop on Black Friday, Walmart, Kmart. Because I've gone for the last 3 or 4 years, and I've never once got caught up in, like, a crazy line, crazy riot, nothing. Just gotten whatever deal I went there for and then took off.
All right, fair enough. One of these years, though, you're gonna like run into some shit that makes you regret your decision.
I think it's the door crasher stuff that causes the problems. Or it's like the first 500 people get a $100 TV. That's where they're fighting. Is whoever's 499 and whoever's 500 and 501. That's where it starts.
Right, but every year there's also the videos about like 50-cent towels and people are like punching each other.
Yeah, those people need to get better jobs, and then when they have better jobs, then they don't buy 50-cent towels.
I do have...
I just made myself the biggest heel ever. Like I'm the $1 million man or something. No,
yeah, that's a good privilege check there.
Yeah, my bad, guys. My bad. Enjoy your 50-cent towels.
So we've gone into privilege, and we've used the word midget several times. So this will be shut down soon. We do have a question about Troll Boys reunion outside of Evolve.
Sure, we are actually. We will be reuniting at Wrestle Circus. We'll be going up for the Wrestle Circus tag team titles. And I believe the date is, sorry I'm yawning, it's 12:10 in the morning, November 18th. Troll boys return. Troll boys. Troll boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when we troll on you? Bam.
Do you still get to use the music?
Yeah, of course. I recorded it with ACH.
Well, I know. I was like sitting like a table over when you guys were doing it, but
yeah, Gabe doesn't own that. He doesn't own the Troll Boys. That was our idea, anyways.
Fair enough. Didn't know
that he didn't want to do.
Is there any like? I don't want to go into shit on Evolve because that's like the corniest thing we could do, considering both of our recent experiences.
Sure, I hope they do good. Again, because I said earlier, I don't want people to go without work. I don't want people to go without money. I hope it does good because it gives people opportunity. But go ahead.
Right. I was just going to say, is there any... Because the first interview I ever did at FlowSlam was a Skype interview with you.
Yep.
And like you had your goal board with your picture of you with the Evolve Championship.
Yep.
Did it feel rewarding or shitty to have that like one day title run?
You know what? It felt rewarding and not for the reasons of being a champion in Evolve. By that time, that goal kind of left, and I already knew I was leaving Evolve maybe like a month before that. It was almost, I would say it was rewarding just because I had a family there, and Michigan, like that crowd was one of the best crowds that Evolve gained after the WWE like juice was given to us. So they took, it was almost, it's so hard to explain in a few sentences. When WWE came in, they kind of like slapped us in the ass and like said, hey, we're going to help you guys become a bigger thing. I don't think that a lot of the management of the company put enough effort into actually growing as a company. They kind of just took things as they came. And Michigan was one of the things that came naturally. And the crowd was amazing. So it was actually cool to see the company grow with the pat on the butt from WWE. And that crowd was amazing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I hated that crowd the first Detroit show because I was in it and there were so many assholes in that crowd. But it was a lot of people though. That was and outside of those assholes, it was a very good crowd. I just happened to have gotten there early, filmed some stuff, and then just grabbed a seat that happened to be in the middle of the worst people in the world.
Right, but every crowd's going to have that. Like,
oh god, I've been in so many crowds this year, and it was just the worst fucking crowd. It's also my home.
There was that one fan at Black Label Pro I wanted to punch in the face.
I also, like, Michigan is my home state, so when shows come to my home state, and then it makes the worst people seem even, like, more terrible, because I'm like, no, I want people to keep coming back to my state, please. Yeah,
Michigan's, like, a second home to me. Like, I have a lot of family in Canton, Michigan, Ann Arbor, Dearborn. So I had a bunch of cousins come that night, and it was cool that even though we lost a bunch of people from the last time we were at Michigan to this time, and the roster was a little thinner, we still got the same lively bunch. The draw was relatively close to the same. And it was cool that my family got to see me win tag titles on this fun show with fun talent and a fun crowd.
Is that more like, just kind of, hey, family, like, look at what I do? Is that more of it than...
No, it was more like they got to see the reaction of the crowd, so they get to be a part of it, and they can be like, hey, that's my cousin, or that's my nephew.
All right, that's cool. So, but is there... I don't know, does it feel... And I know that, like, I'm not saying, like, does it feel like you didn't earn anything because you weren't champion, but does it feel like a gap there, like a missed opportunity with how things had played out there?
Oh, yeah, man. Like, I think I was the most wasted talent on that whole roster. And I think it's because those vocal minority fans weren't sucking my dick on the internet, and that's why Gabe didn't give me the ball.
Yeah, there was definitely a time when it could have worked.
I think twice. There was 2 opportunities where I think were very crucial points for my character to continue the momentum that it had, and it was stopped short both times. And then I think the outcome of that was the Troll Boys, in a sense that I kind of just stopped caring. So I was like, well, I might as well have fun if I'm going to be here. And then I was genuinely having fun, so then the fans were having fun.
Yeah, and that was kind of a split reaction to that, because it was so kind of out of nowhere to go from, the whole like Gates of Heaven thing to, the Troll Boys thing.
Yeah, they were polar opposites.
Right, and really jarring and really fast.
Yeah, no explanation either. It's kind of just like, hey, now I'm this.
All right, fair enough. That was my question. Did we have anything else? Like, I don't want to make this so long it's unlistenable. We're at about 1 hour and 6 minutes.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me just check the Twitter feed one more time, and we will know if we have any last minute. Terry Swag wants me to know if he should sleep tight tonight, and I want to say yes, you should sleep tight.
We don't want anyone to lose a job, and we want everyone to sleep tight.
Yes.
Hey, there's Kurt Stallion. He got in there.
Yeah, Kurt Stallion says, oh man, where do I start? I just favorited his tweet and talked shit about him on the podcast earlier, so he got his just due. I did want to give what was that segment I wanted to do? Up and coming talent?
Oh, yeah, it was like, you had a good name for it, and I'm going to just ramble while I scroll up in our messages to find where it is in these messages. Who stands out? You said I want to do a Who Stands Out segment where I discuss my weekend and talk about dudes who impressed me, and then you said, and mean tweets if I can find them.
Yes, the mean tweets have slowly died down. I think people are afraid of me actually roasting the shit out of them. I will give shout-outs to the 3 wrestlers that actually responded to this. Well, 4, but RJ City doesn't count. Kurt Stallion, PB Smooth, and AJ Gray are 3 guys that I enjoy sharing locker rooms with. Kurt Stallion obviously doing very well out of Camp Michael Elgin. AJ Gray kind of forcing his way onto the indies, like these top-tier indies, by just sheer showing up. And I'm happy to announce that he's going to be debuting at Alpha One on December 17th, I believe the date is. And PB Smooth is the most annoying human being on earth, but he literally bothers me every day asking for advice to get better. So his drive and dedication is impressive. But to actually stay true to what I wanted this segment to be, who's standing out? Ethan Page's weekend just passed. We talked about England. Who's standing out? To me, honestly, there's a guy in England named Robbie X. He's been there for a while. He works for Southside Wrestling and abroad, but Southside Wrestling is where I know him. I'm going to find his Twitter because I think you should follow him and check out some of the stuff he's done. He's someone that I've shared a ring with before. You can find that match at Southside Wrestling's On Demand. I personally follow him on Twitter, and you guys can too. It's ROBBIE_X_, because I'm sure someone else was Robbie X on Twitter already. Yeah, but check him out. He's based out of England. I think he's really talented, and you might too.
Cool. So yeah, we didn't have the mean tweets. Have you ever gone and read your cage match reviews?
No. We should save that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the thing is, even the one, you have one that's below a 6. You have one 5.0 review, and even that isn't that mean, but there's some funny lines on here, so.
All right, cool.
Next week.
Let's save that. As a professional, though, I'd like to plug my upcoming events.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are you up to this coming weekend?
So this Friday, I will be in Portland, Maine, I believe. I don't really know. But wherever Limitless Wrestling is, check them out. November 3rd, Limitless Wrestling. Ethan Page returns. I love Limitless. It's literally one of my favorite promotions on earth. Randy Carver, the promoter, is the coolest dude ever. He started the promotion when he was 19 years old. I started Alpha One when I was 19. There's that common respect. I appreciate his grind, and he's doing something very cool for that area. I return to AAW November 4th in LaSalle, Illinois, the Chicago area. Check them out. Then, November 10th, Defy Wrestling. If you're in the Seattle area, I'm doing a seminar before the event. Contact Defy Wrestling. They have all the details. November 10th, I'll be wrestling Tom Lawler. I don't know what I'm going to do. He's going to beat the living crap out of me. It's going to suck. November 11th, Philly, CZW. I'm doing the John Zandig pose right now. It's myself defending the Southside World Heavyweight Championship against Space Monkey. Then, November 12th, I am in my hometown for my baby shower. My baby's coming. You are not invited. I am not inviting fans to this, but I'm inviting you to my prowrestlingtees.com/Ethan Page to buy yourself a t-shirt, and that will be your baby shower gift. Then on November 17th, Freelance Wrestling in the Chicago area. They are awesome. It's a unique atmosphere. Check them out. Then Wrestle Circus, the Troll Boys return to tag team action. Yeah, that's what's coming up for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Check me out on Twitter @officialego. Brent, your Twitter?
It is @Brent Brookhouse.
And Brent will update you guys on the video that we recorded with Eric Cannon, Another Way to Get Paid, where I sat down and interviewed him for nearly, about an hour, maybe over an hour?
Oh, it was over an hour because it was supposed to be 45 minutes because he had a flat and his alarm didn't go off.
Well, thankfully his alarm didn't go off and he set it for AM instead of PM or the next day or whatever. But I really like that interview with Cannon, and I'm really excited for people to see it.
Yeah, it was really good. We just filmed it in the shittiest possible lighting.
Don't worry. It's what was said that was important, not how we looked, even though we're both two beautiful men. Man, this is a lot of fun. I actually really like doing this.
Yeah, this is a good time. We'll be back next week. Yeah, like and rate us on iTunes and Stitcher.
We're on iTunes already?
Yeah, I've got everything set to go. Once the episode goes up, it'll be there. So yeah, if you listen to this, like and review us because it actually gets traction and makes people see it.
I don't know how any of that stuff works. When I did my podcast, I was terrible at it. I was on a WordPress website, and I think I deleted them all, but there's still some of them up there, so I clearly don't know what I'm doing. I also didn't know how to know how many people listened. Are you going to be able to tell me how many listeners we have?
I will absolutely be able to tell you that.
That's terrible, because if it's not a lot, I'm going to hate my life. Okay, thank you for listening to episode 1 of the Bitter Boys Club, BBC.